Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I believe our presenters still need some time. Is that so, Felicia? I'm seeing Julie here, but Nila is not here yet.
So I am seeing Christopher here from
Christopher, Neil, and Johan.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so let's begin then. And if we need to give Neela some more time, she'll get that while the others are presenting. Okay, so hello everyone again. Welcome and good evening to the closing session of our Promoting Dialogue between the National Quality Infrastructure and the NQI, which stands for the National Quality Infrastructure, NQI, and the Agriculture Sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are here at the closing session today. We have had a lot of activities happening both on Tuesday and today. We started off with the opening session where we had remarks from the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Agriculture, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, CRUSQ, which is the regional standards body, as well as our consultant, Ms. Lodat, and a representative from the Ministry of Agriculture, Ms. Maharaj. We then went into several technical sessions wherein we would have been reviewing the agriculture sector as well as the national quality infrastructure in order to look at what currently exists, what gaps we have, and what we need to do to improve the sector through the development of the national quality infrastructure. So we have now come to the end, and the purpose of this session is to look at the results of the working meetings that have been happening both on Tuesday and today, this morning. And the results of that is a draft action plan, which will be sent to both the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture. Of course, the plan will not yet be finalized. It is a draft plan because we have been doing this on a very short time frame, but the framework is there. So we will be looking at that draft plan, and we will be finalizing it over the next month or so with the intent of handing over those plans to both ministries in order to now review, accept, approve, and implement. So as we move forward, first of all, I'd like to welcome Ms. Lodat, who will be giving us an overview of the session, one of the closed sessions, which was session number, was that 1 or 2, Ms. Lodat?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay, so she will be giving us an overview of these sessions, and Ms. Lodat, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. And over the last 2 days, well, yesterday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, and this morning, the technical working group have been doing some serious work. I must say we've gone over up to an hour over on Tuesday afternoon trying to get the work done. And then today we went over time as well. The group has been working very hard to come up with some activities, the action plan, which will guide the development for quality infrastructure services in the agriculture sector. As you know, we were looking at 3 groups. We merged the small ruminant and aquaculture group into one. And then we also had crops, and we had crops, ornamentals, sorry. These groups were able to work looking at the challenges facing the subsectors, developing what are some of the QI services that were needed to help those sectors advance. And they have developed an action plan, which will then guide the Bureau, the ministry, the government in providing services that will help these sectors advance and, most importantly, meet market requirements, whether they're national market requirements or export market requirements. As I said, the groups work really long and hard to develop these activities, and we will have presentation by the groups of their work so far towards the action plan. It's a work in progress, but we have something to show for our efforts so far. Felicia, do we have the persons on? Is it? I don't see.
I don't think we.
I don't see the three of them yet.
We may not have all on as yet, but we can start off with
we have what's her name? Rish is here from the group with Johan. I don't know if she wants to speak. That's not the Johan group, that's the group.
Rishma would have been with the aquaculture and
small
aquaculture and small ruminant, yeah.
And so maybe we could start off with that.
Okay. Rishma, are you able to share screen and show us the board?
No, I don't have it.
Kevin would do that for her.
Okay, all right, good. Good stuff. Kevin, you could share screen and bring up the board.
Which screen you all want to see exactly?
Oh yes, because the groups now had different activities. The action plan that you worked on.
Okay. Everybody can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, do I go ahead now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, remember we did this generally for all of the sectors. It was not just, it wasn't specific to any one sector within the action plan. So our group, which was the aquaculture and small ruminants group, we had focused on the access to support and the inputs. So based on the activities for the access to support, we looked at lab testing, the certification for local producers, and the accreditation. And the activities we would have looked at for these aspects would have been the certification process, the specific parameter testing, and last but definitely not least, compliance. Because you want the producers to comply. The expected output would be exportation and at the local level protection for the local consumer. Our deadline, we looked at 3 to 6 months, but it could be extended if we don't, if it's not done in on time. And the responsible institution would include Ministry of Health and Ministry of Agriculture. So under Ministry of Health would include Chemistry, Food and Drugs, Public Health Inspectorate, and well, the Pesticide Board as well would be falling under that. And then under Ministry of Agriculture, we will consider APNH Research Division, because they are responsible for facilitating the forms for exportation in terms of phytosanitary certificates. And well, fisheries, they will be responsible for aquaculture. And then, Kevin, could you just move the screen a little bit up? I can't see below. Thanks. So for the inputs now, we considered lack of access, subpar quality, and lack of regulation. And in terms of activities, we definitely have to upgrade the hygienic facilities such as the abattoirs for the aspect of small ruminants. And we will considering the PPP, but this is something that maybe it may not be so conducive for a state entity such as the abattoirs. So definitely we would need we need proper management and human resource for these facilities. And the expected output would definitely be certified hygienic facilities and certified safe produce and meat. And the deadline would be 6 to 12 months, and the responsible agencies will be Ministry of Health and Ministry of Agriculture. That's where we reached. But obviously, in terms of the budget, well, that will have to be advised based on where we will be getting the funding from, if it will be recurrent expenditure, it will be a public sector improvement program or project, and that will fall for both items, as well as in terms of the funding from external agencies. Maybe FAO could come in that aspect if they could assist where we can get funding. I try to fill in the gaps there. So there's no specific notes, but again, for the time that we had, that was allotted to us, and we came up with some valuable information. That's it for us here.
Thank you, Rishra. Yeah, I think your group did very good, and you can always put those points in the notes for future reference.
I think the group did good too. Thanks.
All right, I think we have Christopher on.
Yes, good day.
Yes, all right.
Hi, good day again, everyone. So moving along in picking up where Rishma left off, in the last session, we would have focused on two priorities: training, education, and public awareness, along with the establishment of SPS management and GAP scheme. In both areas, it aimed at covering all the sectors: crops, fisheries, livestock, ornamental horticulture. And so as we move forward into the activities, it sort of attempts to bring together a compilation of all the activities that were highlighted within each subsector and how we should sort of plan them or map them out as we translate them over to the work plan. Some of the commonalities for the first priority of training, education, and public awareness was consumer education and awareness, entrepreneur education and awareness, and also farmer education and awareness. Now, we don't have all linked here, as Rishma would have highlighted, due to the time limitations in terms of how we expanded it. And then the whole training and development program, or the whole training and development component that will feed into this training, education, and public awareness program. So the activities in this, under this priority, will focus on what needs to be done to build out that program and how it will be monitored, identifying different aspects as we move across the table. So firstly, we began with expanding one of the first activities identified, which was the consumer awareness, because we're speaking in terms of development or effecting some type of change. And it is important to target the consumer or the markets, because once we get the consumer buy-in or the consumer willingness, and which is translating to actual demand, then in most cases, it tends to drive the market behind it, and other stakeholders tend to follow suit, or tend to get on board once the consumers or the general public are demanding what is required. Felicia, can you make it a bit larger? And scroll along a bit now.
No, not up.
Right, and then you can move the whole screen to the left a bit, right? So in terms of the consumer awareness, being the focus on this activity, what the expected outcomes coming out of the whole consumer awareness and education program is to increase or have informed consumers, which a metric will have to be determined in terms of the development of a baseline study where you can assess where the consumers are at this point in time, and then some routine upgrade or repeat of the study to attempt to measure, where they are, how they are moving forward. And then also have an increased willingness of the consumers to purchase based on the different quality characteristics that has been addressed, and ensure that the focus is not only price. So consumers sort of change their demand to quality assurance and food safety, or different quality characteristics, and not just the price level. We also saw that social media campaigns may be influential in this, as it also comes with the whole online analytics, the data analytics that will allow the engagement, the reach, the sharing of the different concepts or different content that is put out, and maybe the follow through in terms of persons actually purchasing or showing an increase in demand for these type of for the improved or the upgraded version of different products from within the different sectors. The deadline of June next year, June 2022, was highlighted, allowing us, Rodney would have highlighted, allowing time for consolidation and finalization of the work plan itself, and then moving it to the level of implementation. Agencies / ministries that would be directly responsible for this consumer awareness program would be Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Agriculture, and the THA, as the four key overarching bodies, along with further support from the Bureau of Standards, NAMDEFCO, and different academic institutions who can help build promotions along the quality infrastructure, who can help conceptualize and develop this whole awareness campaign in different forms, and then put it out to the general population to sort of drive or push the impact that is being looked for. The budget for this will have to be determined. Time really didn't permit for us to try to drill into what a budget for this would look like, but persons from different internal campaigns should be able to make some suggestions to help guide that process forward. And our closing notes were that there need to be maintained a monitoring and evaluation framework. Something need to be developed, and this will cut across all the other activities that were listed under this priority in terms of the farmer awareness, the entrepreneur awareness, and the training and development components, because you would have to have an ongoing framework that will be able to both monitor and evaluate the impact of these different awareness programs. The others that were not completed will be somewhat similar, to the consumer awareness, because I mean, the expected outcome of most awareness programs aim at some standard metrics that you would like to achieve. You know, the how you do it is which were different, and it will, in most cases, fall within some of the same agencies that were identified. So moving on to the second priority, the establishment of the SPS management and GAP scheme. Some of the activities included here is, you know, development of grades and standards. I mean, we have fresh produce, we will have to include the relevant standards for the fish, the horticulture, the livestock. The standard for fresh produce has been completed and published already. So we also need to now drive the publication of standards for the different aspects of the agriculture sector to have that complete grades and standards, complete standards document specific to each one of the sector. And then, you know, the actual having, yeah, thank you. Moving on from the grades and standards, yeah, you will also need to address the GMPs for the specific industries. What you do after you move from your production phase into your processing phase. So, and this will cut across for every one of the sector also in terms of the processing or the manufacturing to bring it to some type of finished product outside of the raw form. And look at the HACCP. One of the specific highlights throughout the discussion and the other presentation from the other groups was for the fisheries sector also to have that HACCP protocol in place and focus on handling facilities for both fresh produce, livestock, fisheries, etc., and training of persons involved. And specifically for the fresh produce, the introduction of regulations specific to MRL and well, the food safety demand here will be tied back to the whole awareness program. That would have sort of bring us to the end of where we have reached with respect to the fleshing out of this aspect of the work plan, which I guess we'll have to meet subsequently to discuss. Thank you.
Very good, Christopher. Thank you very much. The group did well. I see y'all work through the lunch hour. All right. Do we have the group with Neil? Is Neil or anybody from his group on?
Just Gloria and that
Yes.
team was having some challenges. Is Gloria here?
Yes, Felicia, just come on. I don't know which one I'm under. I'm seeing who I'm under. You? Okay. So, right. What do we need to do?
So you need to just present your action plan. Which group were you with? I mean, which
well, we did
working on?
ornamental. We presented our action plan.
Okay, so it's the other group.
It's maybe fisheries and ruminants, small ruminants.
Yeah, that group.
We
This is
presented
we are the
No, that was the first group.
thing.
The fisheries and
presented,
small ruminant, yeah, presented first, and then crop presented next. So it's ornamental group to present now.
No, ornamental presented first. Before the break?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
ornamental
yes.
presented first. We presented before the break.
Right, now you need to present in this session here. I think that's what the next
Yes.
session.
Yeah, getting me confused.
Okay, sorry.
In this session this afternoon, we had two presentations. But the group with the bright pink card hasn't presented yet. Whichever
No,
group that
that's
is.
us. That's ornamental.
So
Bright
that's-
pink card.
So you up
So-
now.
So what are we presenting? Just the same action plan again?
Right, because we have some new stakeholders on the call now.
Oh, okay then.
Mhm.
I can't forward the release. Oh,
You seeing the board?
Gloria, is the text size okay for you, or do you need it zoomed a little closer?
We need to get it zoomed a little bit, thanks. Sorry, as we now get back connection, we trying to, oh Lordy, get ourselves together. Just give us 1 minute, thanks, and we'll be able to start our presentation. Right, come on. Good afternoon to the participants of this National Dialogue on Quality Infrastructure in the agriculture sector. This is the ornamental horticulture segment of the dialogue. This is our findings. After 2 days of discussions, we would have identified 2 major constraints to the industry. And let me start by saying the first one is a lack of an awareness of the value chain. So an unmapped value chain for the ornamental sector, ornamental horticultural sector. And as such, we are proposing that the activities that will address that be prioritized. And the second one of the constraints is that we lack information in terms of market access, whether it's to foreign markets or domestic markets for our commodities. Right, having said those are the 2 critical constraints we have identified, I would go back up to number 1, which is that unmapped value chain, which will show us at the end result the opportunities that exist and the gaps that are there along the value chain, and investors, entrepreneurs, and other stakeholders have an idea as to where they can invest their resources. So in that first constraint, the activities to overcome would be, I need the board a little bigger, or to get I will hand it over to Mr. Govaya, who could see better than me.
Okay.
The board need to come up a little bit, thanks, expand a bit.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Johan Govaya, Agricultural Officer at the Horticulture Services Division. So I'd take over the presentation for a bit. So as Ms. Bradford mentioned, we're looking at the Caladina activity in terms of the value chain mapping. So the activities we look at is the preparation, identifying the hosts, the key stakeholders to be invited. We would execute the workshop to produce the action plan, and we would, of course, document and publish the findings for our stakeholders. We could go across a bit.
To the expected outcomes.
So the expected outputs would be a key stakeholder list would be established. The action plan and implementation plan would assign agencies responsible. The responsibility matrix would be arranged, and then we'd have a documented and published report that we could share. We are looking at a deadline of between January to June 2022, and then a 1-year period till June 2023 to evaluate the plan. Right, so the responsible institutions will be the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, and the Ministry of Trade and Industry. With regards to the budgets, we could go across. So project funding would be an avenue through either the recurrent expenditure or the capital or PSIP expenditure, or even other donor agencies. If it's the European Development Fund or FAO, JEF, whatever agency that could align itself to this sort of activity. Some of the liaison organizations will be the European Union, the Ministry of Planning, and other foreign agencies and missions to contribute in the approvals and whatever technical collaborations we have. So that would take care of the first constraints
and the solutions. If we go back to the second constraint of market availability, access, whether it's on the foreign or domestic sphere, we have here activities that relate to the examination of existing treaties, whether it's the CME on a regional basis or other international bilateral agreement or treaties that we are currently engaged in. The requirements to actionize or to use those opportunities that present themselves from those treaties, we would ensure that the various stakeholders are aware so that the necessary investors can target those opportunities and make use of them. We recognize there's a need for research into some other markets in those geographical regions, and Mr. Kovaya, take it from there.
And then we would look at making contact with export agencies like Export TT to see where they have established markets. Also, we identify activity under that constraint to do study tours, maybe through missions, Holland, Colombia, Ecuador, where we could explore those markets for the industry. In regards to the output, we would be able to now establish a list of requirements in the specific geographic market for the varieties which is available, or the specific commodities within the industry, be it the heliconias, anthuriums, gingerlies, and etc. This time frame should be March 2022, so a 3-month period if we start at January. And the institutions who will be responsible would be the Ministry of Agriculture, in particular our division, the Horticultural Services Division, and the Agriculture Planning Division of the Ministry. With regards to the funding, we again look at either the recurrent or the capital PSIP expenditure, or even through the donor agencies. Liaison ministries would be like the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Ministry of Trade, and the other horticulture groups and stakeholders, be it the Horticulture Society, Orchid Societies, or the different Eastern clubs, Central clubs, etc.
Thank you. That's what we had to present for the ornamental sector, for the sustainable development of the sector going forward. If we could address those major constraints, we can further develop the industries and sector. That's it for us. Thanks.
Thank you all so much for those presentations. Do you want to say anything, Ms. Lauder, before we close off on this section?
I just want to thank the group for the work that they've done. And I must say that we had a number of persons in the group who made some really, really solid input, and it all came together very nicely. So I really want to commend them for what they brought to the table and the work that they did. And, you know, everybody was engaged and enthusiastic, and that was really good because, you know, without you, we couldn't have this forum. So I was really happy for that. And it was a pleasure working with the team.
So once again, I'd like to thank the teams for their contributions. I know that it was significant work in a very, very short time because people had to come to these meetings, and then immediately after the meeting, they had to go back to do their own work for their organizations. So I do recognize it is quite challenging to do a lot in a very short period of time, but I think that the teams have done very well. So if I could just reiterate those sentiments expressed by Ms. Lodat. Okay, so next on the agenda, we are supposed to have Ms. Neela Maharaj. Is Neela here, Felicia?
Let me just check the participants. I am not seeing her. I would ask if the persons on the call have any questions in regards to the action plan. You could put up your hand. Okay, well,
I think there are no questions for now, but if there are any questions, can they send us those into us, Felicia, and what contact?
yes. Right, so let me put my contacts in the chat for everyone. So, yeah. Rodney?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in the chat though. Or is it just my chat? I'm not sure if anyone else.
I would have put it to everyone, both my phone number and my email address.
Okay. Can anyone else confirm that they've received it?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Yes,
See it.
All right, great.
It popped up and it just went on mine.
Maybe you should post it again, Felicia.
Okay, not a problem.
Yes, I am seeing it now. Okay, great. So hopefully everyone has the contact information. So if you have any comments on the work that you've done here, any questions, queries, just feel free to contact us and we will do our best to reply to you as soon as possible. And with that, that brings us to the end of this session and the end of this dialogue. Although this will not be the last dialogue that we will have on these matters. So I want to thank everyone very much for coming, but especially for participating, because it's your participation and your expertise that will help us to identify the gaps that we need to address and to identify the solutions that we need to use in addressing those gaps. So thank you all very much for coming once again. And Please have a good and safe afternoon, everyone. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you again to one and all.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget
Bye,
your
everyone.
implementation committee.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone. Hmm?
Bye, everyone.
What happened to